Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission's regular meeting for October 27th, 2025. We'll move to roll call. Commissioner Fisher.
Commissioner Bott.
Here.
Commissioner Britton.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher here. Chair Frazier.
Here.
Commissioner Knable.
Here.
Commissioner Steckman.
Here.
And Commissioner Woodman is excused absence.
Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda. I'd like for a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Britton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Steckman. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 4 tonight is open forum. This is a chance for anyone who's in the audience tonight to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda. This time I'll open forum. Seeing no takers, we'll close open forum. Item 5 is Chair's explanation of the hearing process. The Planning Commission is a volunteer advisory group to the City Council. One of the Commission's functions is to hold public hearings and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. The purpose of these public hearings is to provide an opportunity for each applicant and citizens to present information, ask questions, and express opinions. Since these proceedings are televised and recorded for the public record, anyone wishing to speak in person must step up to the podium and give their name and address before addressing the Commission. Staff reports are prepared and provided to the applicant and Planning Commission in advance of the meeting. The first step in the hearing will be for staff to present a summary of the report. The applicant will then have the opportunity to briefly explain the proposal and provide additional information or comment. Anyone wanting to speak in favor or against the proposal will then be heard. Upon completion of the testimony, the hearing will be closed to public comment. The Planning Commission will then discuss and act on the matter. 2 complete agenda packets are available for viewing on the back table. The agenda packet is also available for viewing on the City of Cottage Grove website. The City Council will act on Item 6A, Capital Improvement Plan 2026 through 2030 at their meeting on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, which starts at 7 p.m. We'll move to item 6. 6A is the Capital Improvement Program 2026 through 2030, case CP 2025-027, with Crystal presenting.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to present our 2026 through 2030 Capital Improvement Plan tonight. This is a joint effort between engineering, our finance department, and parks. Lots of folks are contributing to this document. This is something we do annually, so we do a 5-year plan, but we update this every year. And the Planning Commission's role is really to ensure that this plan is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. In 2026 to 2030 CIP, the first couple years of the CIP these projects are pretty well vetted. The later years of the CIP include some projects that might be in there as a possibility to get some grant funding. It's stuff that we kind of have on our radar, but it could be pushed off a few years depending on condition. But we like to include as much as we can in this CIP so with that we know what's to come. So I'm going to start out with our parks CIP projects, and then I'll go into our facilities. Zach is here tonight too, and I'm going to pause after facilities and give him a chance to answer any parks and facilities questions before I get into the rest of it, and then I can let him have the rest of his evening. So our parks projects, many of these items on this list are maintenance items. They are put on the list based on life expectancy, and they could shift if, courts are in good condition or what have you. Generally, we replace our playgrounds every 20 years. And lighting, we're converting our lights in our parks from metal halide to a LED, so you'll see some lighting improvements in each year of this plan. So just running through these, in 2026, we expect the Jack and Marlis Denzer Neighborhood Park development. That park is located near Hadley Avenue and near the North Point development. That we started some work on that in 2024 and 2025, hoping to wrap that park up in 2026 with some sport courts, some trails, a playground, etc. 2026 will also see the Roberts Lake Neighborhood Park development. This is within the Lockridge neighborhood. And construction started there late summer into fall. They're hoping to get some houses going there this fall, but in 2026, we anticipate being able to start some development within that park. We've got a project in the bike park for jump line improvements. And in Hamlet Park, we've got sports lighting improvements and skate park surface replacement. In 2027 in Hamlet Park, we've got skate park equipment and a shelter replacement. And then we've got Still Ponds Park and Military Trailhead, $700,000. This is development related. That military corridor is getting more and more developed as the years go by. And at some point, we anticipate putting a trailhead in that area to access that military trail. Still Ponds Park is a park near Oltman, and that's a real natural park right now, but with some potential for trails or other improvements in that park. In 2027, we also anticipate construction of the Kingston Park building replacement. That's a $5 million project. The image on this slide is of the proposed Kingston Park building. We've got Lamar sports lighting improvements, River Oaks Scenic Overlook. That'll be done with our pavement management project backed by the River Oaks Golf Course. And then Mississippi Dunes Park, we're hoping to start to build that within this 2026 to 2030 CIP, although our funding, we're still waiting on a lot of funding to make that project happen. But we're hoping in 2027 we can start with some infrastructure, roadway down to the park, the parking lot, and a boat ramp. And then we anticipate Pine Coulee court replacement in 27. In 2028, we've got Old Cottage Grove sports lighting improvements. We've got a placeholder in here in 28, 29, and 30 for $500,000 for a neighborhood park wherever development is taking us in those years. We anticipate it's probably east of Ravine, east of Keats area, but could potentially be other areas in the city. In 28, we're hoping for some recreational facilities around the Mississippi Dunes Park. Tennis court replacement in Highlands Park. In Peter Thompson, we anticipate rink boards, sport courts, and reshingling of that roof on the shelter there. And then Pine Tree Pond Park, we would have some improvements there in 2028 upon completion of the intermediate zone water treatment plant that's going up right next to it. In 29, there's that placeholder again for a future neighborhood park. We've got playground replacement for Hemingway Park and North Ideal Park. And the pavement management project will be right around the Hearthside Park neighborhood. So we'll set aside some dollars for park improvements during that project. And then in Mississippi Dunes, we hope to build that park building in 29. And then finally, court replacement at Pine Tree Pond Park. And then in 2030, again, another neighborhood park, a shelter in Nina's Park, and then a Woodridge playground surface replacement, as well as sport court resurfacing. And in Pine Glen Park, with the pavement management project, potentially $100,000 of improvements with pavement management. And Pine Tree Valley, we would replace some rink boards in 2030. Moving on to public facilities, in 2025, City Hall and Public Safety, as well as the Central Fire Station, had a facility condition assessment. And there are a lot of recommendations in that report that are being reflected here in our CIP. It's important to note that these are mostly maintenance items. There are a lot of small ticket items that are adding up to a decent amount of money, but it's typical of projects that would have to be done on buildings that are getting to be 10 years old and older. So I'm going to kind of skip over those projects in this 26 to 2030 because the detail is in these other spreadsheets and I don't want to bore you with those. So other than that, the ice arena and public works are what we're seeing in 26 through 2030. So we've got a Zamboni replacement in 2026. In 27, the ice arena will see some pretty significant upgrades with the interior remodel and an office space. Also a water treatment system, a locker room 7 through 9, and a furnace and a floor scrubber. And in public works, we're anticipating a water heater in 2027. In 28, we anticipate garage doors and flooring in the public works building, and then another Zamboni replacement at the ice arena. In 29, we've got HVAC unit in the commons area of the ice arena, as well as a new roof, and also a new roof in Public Works. So those are some significant projects in 29. And then in 2030, we anticipate ice arena office and mezzanine furniture replacement, and then in Public Works, a vinyl tile replacement. So I'm going to pause there, give Zach an opportunity to answer any specific questions that I can't. Anything that comes up for you guys for parks or facilities?
Any questions for Zach? Commissioner Britton?
For the Kingston building, it kind of hard to tell from the picture, but on the back side where the actual playground is, will there still be a shelterish type area, you know, kind of open but protective, you know, gives you some shade and protection from the rain. That's there currently, but the building looks like it may not have it, but you can't really see the other side. Does that question make sense? So on that back side, is there going to be some shade protection area that you can sit and watch the kids play, or is that gone with this new building style?
Thanks for the question, Commissioner Britton. So the building itself will not have shade around it. So the back side of the building that you're referencing right now, so the back of the image here, that'll be access to both the men's and women's bathrooms, which are very large. They're considerably larger bathrooms than they are today. And then the shelter will go between right now we have a plan for 3 shelters to go in between the playground and the building.
Okay.
So it'll be 3 independent shelters. At one point, we had the awning connected to the building. Between cost and functionality, we kind of decided that, you know, particularly with individual programming or rentals, to be able to have the 3 shelters servicing separate programs would be a good idea. So that's what we transitioned to.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bott?
So I do see that tennis court replacement on Highlands Park is on the agenda, but it's 2 or 3 years down the line. But if you look at the tennis court surface, it's already bad. So any chance that you would move some of these projects up?
So we do analyze all of our courts. Thank you, Commissioner Bott. We do analyze the courts every year. So yes, there's a possibility it could move. It wouldn't move up to 2026, but we'll look at them in the spring and see how things have shifted. And then we either repair as best we can, or we shift projects. And sometimes we shift projects entirely. It doesn't have to be a court for a court. It might be, you know what, this playground's doing okay. This court's not doing okay. We have to flip those things. So we look at all that. But if you have specific concerns, when you see things, I tell people, let us know, because we inspect things, we get out there, but sometimes it's amazing how quickly pavement can go from safe and fine to, oh my gosh, the crack opened up. So let us know.
Thank you. I have one more question.
Yeah.
So there are 2 Zambonis in the ice arena that will be replaced?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we actually have a total of 3 ice sheets there. So we have 1 unit per rink that services each rink. So the 2 that are there now are both coming up on their 20-year life expectancy, so we'll replace those. And they do have a little resale value, so we'll get some resale value out of those too.
Okay, thank you.
Got a question.
Commissioner Knable?
For the Woodridge playground surface, is there any equipment being swapped out during that as well?
Commissioner Nabel, that would be in the 2030, the $500,000.
Yeah.
Nope, that's just the safety surfacing. Mind-boggling, isn't it?
Yeah.
So actually, we just invested into that this maybe 2 months ago. They came in, they put a binder on it, like a thick binder. They replaced they fixed they did a lot of patching to fix a lot of the bad spots, and then they put a binder on it. So we're hoping that carries us another 5 to 7 years, but I had to put something in there to get it on the table, so.
Thank you.
Any further questions about parks, public works, facilities? All right, thank you.
Thank you, good night.
All right, we'll continue on with more street-related projects. So in 2024, we updated our 10-year mill and overlay and 10-year pavement management plans for the upcoming period. Our mill and overlay plan is, this is a pretty simple project. We're milling off the top 2 inches of pavement and we're repaving. This is really just designed to extend the life of that pavement, and it's funded by our franchise fees. We have a pavement well, not pavement management, the word is escaping me, and it's on a couple slides, and I will say it at that time. But in this picture here, you can see how we take down that first 2 inches, top 2 inches of blacktop, that's on the right side of the picture, and then we repave back a fresh mat of blacktop on the left side of the picture. So our 10-year mill and overlay plan, which started in 2025, is on the screen in front of you. The red was Hardwood Avenue was done in 2025, and the neighborhood just to the north of that. And then I'll go through 26 through 30 as we get to them on this presentation. We also redid our pavement management 10-year plan in 2024. Pavement management is a much more comprehensive paving project. This is a reconstruct that includes utility work. We're taking our pavement all the way down to that gravel section, recompacting, and bringing it back up with fresh pavement. This is also curb work is sometimes included in this. And sometimes we are working in the parks that are adjacent to these projects. Pavement management also relies on some of the funding coming from assessments on this project. So the residents or businesses within neighborhoods of pavement management projects are often assessed for the costs of these projects, along with utility funds and parks funds, and the general levy does pick up a portion of these as well. This is our 10-year pavement management plan, starting in 2025. We did the Hidden Valley neighborhood this year in the red, but I'll talk through the other neighborhoods as they come up. So first, our 2026 projects. I'll start with the roadway maintenance fund. That's the word that was slipping for me. Our roadway maintenance fund is about $2 million in 2026, and the majority of that fund is used for mill and overlay. That fund is also used for crack sealing. It's also used for striping, some trail improvements, but the majority is our mill and overlay project. And in 2026, the plan is 95th Street from Hadley to Jamaica. In 26, our pavement management area is just west of Jamaica in the Woodridge and Thompson Grove Estates neighborhoods, just north of East Point, east of Inwood. This includes some single family, includes some townhomes, school, Armstrong Elementary is in this area, church, and some commercial areas. We'll have a public hearing coming up on that early in 2026. Another big project in 2026 is the 80th Street reconstruction. This is going to be from Highway 61 all the way to Ideal. We've got a lot of partners on this project. We're relying on the Federal Highway Administration, MnDOT, the county, city. This is a pretty big one at 17 million. So it includes pavement and curb replacement. We have pedestrian improvements, interchange improvements right on Highway 61, lane reconfiguration. We're also going to include that stretch of East Point Douglas between 80th Street and the other section of East Point Douglas, so where the driveway comes off for Hy-Vee and that commercial area. This will be funded by all those agencies, also utility funds, TIF funding, and then there will be some assessments to commercial properties around this area as well. This goes all the way to Ideal Avenue and anticipated to get this thing done in one construction season next summer. Finally, 80th Street and Keats, the county is planning for a roundabout project here. This is by the Tank Farm. This is county-led, relies on MSA funding. The city is just cost sharing per the city-county cost share policy. In 2027, our roadway maintenance budget is about 2.1 million, and a bunch of that will go to the 27 mill and overlay area. This is in the Highland Hills neighborhood as well as Pine Summit, so just north of 70th and north of 65th, west of Hadley and east of Goodview where the new Hawthorne development is. In 2027, the proposed pavement management project is on Kingsborough Trail, which is back behind the River Oaks Golf Course. And then we also have a section of East Point Douglas Road. So we're going to be able to, 26 will reconstruct that section of East Point Douglas near Hy-Vee. Obviously 23 and 24 reconstructed the Jamaica and East Point intersection. So this will be a nice transition to have that whole commercial corridor all brand new by the end of 2027. In 2028, the Mill and Overlay neighborhood is the Silverwood addition west of Hinton, north of 65th, as well as the Pine Cliff addition on the east side of Hinton, and then Pine Arbor, which is down by 70th Street in Hinton. The pavement management area is just north of the 2026 pavement management, so north of Hillside Trail, west of Jamaica. This is, again, Woodridge, Thompson Grove neighborhoods. And then also in 2028, the county is planning for Jamaica Avenue reconstruction between 70th Street and Military Road. This we'll also participate in with the city-county cost share program. This project's getting underway this fall. There were some public informational meetings on it, and there's been some good interaction so far, and it'll continue into design over the next couple of years. 2029 and 2030, I'll buzz through pretty quick here. Our roadway maintenance fund in 2029 has us at about 2.3 million. Our mill and overlay is planned for 97th Street and Mississippi Dunes Estates. The 2029 pavement management area is Thompson Grove Estates and Hillside Trail. And then in 2030, we've got a roadway maintenance fund of 2.4 million. Mill and overlay planned for Great Cloud Trail South, which is down by Mississippi Mississippi Landing Development. And pavement management would be in Pine Glen and Cottage Grove Estates at an $8 million project that our finance director would love for us to neck down a little bit. We've also in 2030 got Harkness Avenue sitting out there. This would be a reconstruct from Oakwood Park north up to the Hardwood Avenue intersection. This one is fully dependent on development. That section is currently a rural section with ditches. If we get development through that corridor, we would transition that to an urban section with curb and gutter. I want to talk a little bit about Ravine Parkway. There's two sections of Ravine Parkway that we talk about in our CIP. The section east of Keats, and then the section of Ravine Parkway that's going to come down into the shops at Cottage View. Both of these are really dependent on development. So we've got some placeholders in here, but it'll depend how things go. I'm going to first talk about the section east of Keats. Ravine Parkway, the developers would fund a standard roadway section. If we decide that we need it wider medians, for example, or something that we've done on Ravine Parkway, or bigger sewer pipes or bigger storm sewer for a particular reason, the city funds any upgrades to Ravine Parkway, but the developer would fund the construction of Ravine Parkway. East of Keats, we took a really close look at this in 2025 and the actual alignment of how that road should fit in there. And we anticipate that we will see development of this in 2026, potentially through this Tank Briar property. So we've got 3.2 million set aside in 2026 for that section of Ravine Parkway. And then in 2027, 2028, and 2029, we anticipate development in the Tank, Geis, and Goebel properties, which would connect the rest of Ravine Parkway from 70th all the way down to 85th here at the Hero Center. In 2030, we could see development construct this section that's missing through the Kemp property. So on this picture on the right, Calarosa, that subdivision's on the left, that has built Ravine Parkway up to the west of the Kemps. Lockridge is currently building Ravine Parkway to the east of the Kemps. So potentially we have 200,000 in 2030 for development of the Kemp property. Secondly, Ravine Parkway through the shops at Cottage View. In 2026, again, this is totally development driven. It's possible we could see a hotel development down on the south side of that property, which we've got, I don't have that number, set aside in the 2026 CIP for that southern piece, as well as from East Point Douglas to that first intersection. In 2028, we're planning to potentially build from the first intersection to the roundabout. And then in 2029, from the roundabout down to Keats Avenue. And then finally in 2030, we'd bring Ravine Parkway in from the north down to the roundabout. So there are dollars set aside for that, and of course, only driven by development. The next section is another big project, County 19A and 100th Street realignment. As you all know, we've been developing a lot on the west side of Highway 61, on, near 100th Street and south on that corridor. That development is really putting a lot of pressure on the Jamaica Avenue interchange. So this project would include realignment of side streets. It would include a bridge over the railroad to provide and is grade separated crossing, which is key for trucks within this corridor, as well as pedestrians. But this is a big, hairy project. So the full cost of this project, $74 million, relies heavily on funding partners at the Federal Highway Association, as well as MnDOT and the Washington County. We're currently in some final design stages for a project in 2026 through 2028, where we would build that we'd realign that 100th Street, build the railroad bridge, and bring it pretty far to the east, but not quite to the interchange. And then we've got a placeholder in 2030 for construction at the interchange at the overpass at Innovation. That project alone, $23 million, is anticipated for that construction of the interchange. And again, heavily reliant on federal funding as well as state and county funding. Moving along, utility, pedestrian, and bridge projects in our CIP. This is the last section of the presentation. Our stormwater fund has $200,000 annually for maintenance of facilities. Our water fund has well maintenance at $90,000 annually. We've got a project to paint the Pine Hill Water Tower for $1 million in 2027. And then we have a big one out in 2030, $100 million for a water softening. This would provide chloride reduction in both of our new treatment plants, so the low zone and the intermediate zone water treatment plant. These projects aren't currently funded, but we're hoping to seek some grant opportunities for this work. Those buildings are set up to house that equipment when these projects come to fruition. And then in this CIP, we're gonna finish our 3M settlement implementation, which is kind of exciting. So 25 through 29, we'll be still finishing up those 3M settlement projects. The intermediate zone treatment plant behind the fire station is about a $90 million project that started this year and will take through 2029. In 26, we'll finish the intermediate zone raw water line extension for $3 million. And then we can decommission wells 1 and 2 for $1 million in 2026. And upon completion of the intermediate zone treatment plant, we can plan to decommission well 3, well 7, and temporary treatment plants. So that's a big project out there in 29 once we get our intermediate zone plant done. This image on the upper right is a rendering of the intermediate zone plant. And then this image is also a rendering of the plant, but for those that aren't real sure where we're at, this is 80th Street. And then we've got the central fire station here. This plant is real big, right behind the central fire station, next to Pine Tree Valley Park. Sanitary sewer fund, we have $50,000 annually to maintain our sewer lines. There's streetlight improvements, $100,000 annually. Traffic signals, we anticipate a couple signals to be constructed in 2028, a signal at 80th and Jamaica, and then another signal potentially at Keats and Indian Boulevard. We have some pedestrian improvement projects coming up, safe streets and roads for all. This is really a comprehensive study of pedestrian facilities throughout the city. We anticipate the study in 2026, and this is funded with a federal highway grant. And then we're looking at implementation of some RRFBs, or rectangular rapid flashing beacons, on 80th at Pine Tree Valley Park and Pine Tree Pond Park, and then at Hadley Avenue and 92nd. Those would be in 2029. And then finally, we're starting to look at the 103rd Street Bridge down by Mississippi Dunes. This is the picture on the upper right corner of this screen. This bridge has a 10-foot, 4-inch clearance. And it's been getting hit a lot over the last couple of years. With that has us looking into feasibility over the next couple of years here. And then we've got a placeholder out in 2030 for a bridge reconstruction. Again, seeking grant opportunities is what we're trying to do there. So some big numbers in there, but this is a problematic bridge, so. With that, the recommendation is on the screen, and I'll stand for questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions about the second half of the presentation? Commissioner Britton?
You mentioned mill and overlay. You mentioned total reconstruction. Is there also just an overlay? And
yeah,
and
so-
does that still get used, or?
Yes, our streets crew does what they call a thin overlay. And that's a project that they do based on what they're seeing out in the field and some PACER ratings that we do annually. But it's just, we do this internally with our own staff, and funds from that roadway maintenance fund are used to fund the materials that are used. But our own staff is able to perform that thin overlay.
Do you recall how long the thin overlay is supposed to extend the life of the road before it needs to be worked on?
It's a-
Approximately?
Sure, it's a relatively newer thing that we've been doing, but we've been getting 5-6 years out of those thin overlays. They've been a really great tool in the toolbox as it comes to pavement management.
Okay. And in regards to those three things, is the total reconstruct the only thing that gets assessed, or is there any assessments involved with the mill and overlay?
Great question, Commissioner Britton. The only assessments come with the pavement management projects. Or if there's a big total reconstruct like the 80th Street project, that also has some assessments involved. But mill and overlay is definitely not assessed, and those thin overlays are not assessed as well.
Okay. Thank you. So that was that question. On a different note, you showed a light for the Ravine Parkway connecting near the East Ravine Park entrance. So up at the top of the hill from 19 and East Point Douglas.
Yes, on the shops at Cottage View? This?
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
So you've got a signalized intersection or a signalized stopping point right at the park entrance, correct?
That is correct.
So is there concern that causing cars heading north to stop on that? Because it's some pretty reasonable grade approaching this. And in icy conditions, I'd be concerned that, you may have some issues with causing a vehicle to actually stop there and then get going again. Is there not a concern with that?
Sure, this is super conceptual at this stage. I don't know that that close, the grades and stuff coming into an intersection certainly haven't been looked at with this project yet. So
Okay.
we're pretty far out there, but in general, expected traffic volumes are kind of warranting a signal there, but that could change too.
A roundabout.
It could be a roundabout.
Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't put it past us.
I would love that. All right, third thing, the water softener. Just out of curiosity, I use way more water on my yard annually than I do not on my yard. So when you're talking about softening water, is it to the level that I currently soften my own water to? Or is it to some other level of reduced hardness from what we exist now? I'm just curious at how all of this water that's going to go on people's yards is going to be softened if it gets done. And how does that process take into consideration that water usage?
Yeah, Commissioner Britton, that's a fantastic question that I wish I could answer. I do not have those types of details on the water softening. Do you?
That's okay, I was just curious.
We'll have to get back to you. I'm going to check with Ryan Burfind on that.
Well, in the past, it seemed like that was more of a long-term dream, and this seemed a little bit more real. So I just figured I'd ask because it was seeming a little more real than it has in the past.
Yeah, in the couple of years I've been here, it's been the last thing on the CIP, so it's just something that hangs out there at the end. I don't know that it's any more real this year than it was in other years, but we are making room for it and planning for it to happen someday. But the level of softening, I can't answer right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Steckman?
Thank you. Just a brief question about the project plan for 80th Street next year, the overlay project. And that is, my recollection is that a portion of it, $5 million, was planned to be paid by federal grants. Has the city done any contingency planning in case that money suddenly becomes unavailable?
Commissioner Steckman, great question. And I'm going to ask our city engineer to see if he
Okay.
knows about that.
I don't mean to play stump the, 'cause
I would say we haven't got any contingency plans at this time, but every indication that we've gotten from the feds at this time is that there's no change in it, so we are moving forward with those plans, so they keep telling us it's still okay, so we're moving forward that way, so.
sounds good, thank you.
Commissioner Bout?
Can you explain to me one more time, what's the difference between pavement management against road reconstruction?
Commissioner Bott, pavement management or mill and overlay construction?
Right.
Right. So pavement management is a much more comprehensive reconstruct of the roadway. So in pavement management, we're taking all the pavement off. We're reconstructing the gravel base, recompacting it, and bringing it back up. Also, once we have the pavement off, we are fixing any utilities that might have issues in the roadway. We're also redoing curb and gutter along the side of the road. Any sidewalk that might need replacement in that neighborhood would get done at that time. Whereas a mill and overlay, we're strictly stripping off 2 inches of pavement, the top 2 inches, and repaving it. So there are no utility adjustments or curb and gutter or anything in a mill and overlay project.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will open public hearing on the capital improvement plan. Seeing no public input, we will close public hearing on the capital improvement plan, and we will have discussion by commission. Any further discussion, comments? Commissioner Britton?
I'd just like to say, great job. I mean, of the hundreds of pages in the packet, that was very well summarized and easy to understand. So thank you for all the hard work, and it makes it pretty clear that the value that these projects have and what's actually being done where in a much more, in a very understandable format. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? I'll just add my thanks. I know this is a lot of the stuff stays the same every year. And a lot of the dream kind of projects stay at the end of the project, but it's always interesting to see how things move up as kind of needs vary for the city and what's going to get funded and what's not. Because obviously there's a lot of things we'd like to do, but it's what do we need to do to make sure we're providing the services and that the people expect that live here. And so thank you for all your work on that project. I know it was the two of you here as well as many other people who are not here tonight that put together that presentation. So thank you. With that, then I would look for a motion.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Britton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Knable. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. 7 is presentations, and 7A is the draft 2025 East Ravine Alternative Urban Area-Wide Review, with Emily presenting.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, every 5 years, we do update, review, evaluate our East Ravine AUAR that we do have in place. That East Ravine AUAR is I always call it a planning tool that we like to use. So an AUAR gives us the ability to evaluate impacts of what we call a development scenario, which typically aligns with our land use plan a lot of the times, right, out of our comprehensive plan. And so those development scenarios are evaluated, and those impacts as a result of development are then evaluated ahead of the development even occurring. So the AUAR was first completed for the East Ravine area in 2005. It was evaluated as two different neighborhoods just because of the substantial size of the area, about 4,000 total acres. And I want to be clear when I say that, it's a huge park area included in there, right? And a lot of future developable area. Since 2005, I wrote my numbers down here, about 500 acres have been developed. So to think about that over a handful of decades, so about 1,150 acres remain to be developed. So we maintain that AUAR for the area. So we do have that evaluation and that work completed at such time a development does present itself in this particular area of the community. With the update here in 2025, none of the land use has changed in our comprehensive plan. Therefore, none of the development scenarios changed. So as you read through your packet, you'll see there weren't a whole lot of adjustments that have been made since the last update in 2020. So with an AUAR comes a mitigation plan, and that mitigation plan essentially provides us a guideline or a guide map for when development is proposed, so we can ensure that we are requiring those developments to mitigate any impacts that have been identified as we've reviewed the environmental impact with those development scenarios. And so I listed only a handful here on the slide. There's quite a few more that were listed in our draft mitigation plan. But really we look at traffic, we look at noise, of course, stormwater. We have stormwater best management practices. You hear me up here all the time, or the planners talking about the stormwater ponds and things like that. So a lot of these standard practices are encompassed in our subdivision ordinance or our zoning codes, and so our developers are meeting these standards, but it's important that they're also outlined in this document so that we ensure that we're following those when we're reviewing those developments. And so next steps, and as you notice on your agenda, this is simply a presentation. There's no action required by the Planning Commission this evening. However, for your information, that draft AUAR and mitigation plan is currently published in the EQB, or Environmental Quality Board Monitor, where it will be until November 12th. It's required to be published out there for 10 working days. Those comments that we do receive will be incorporated into that final document that we will present to council, which then will require their adequacy determination and adoption of that AUAR. And then you won't likely hear about an update to an AUAR for another 5 more years. So with that, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I will stand for questions if you do have any.
Thank you. Any questions for Emily? All right, I don't see any. Thank you very much. Item 8 tonight is approval of the minutes. Unless there are any additions or corrections to the minutes from our last meeting, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve from Commissioner Fisher. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second from Commissioner Bott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. 9 is reports. 9A is recap of October 1st and October 15th city council meetings with Emily.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I just switched locations here to keep you on your toes. But the October 1st meeting, the only update that I did have for you was that the council did approve for the AMRISE, or Nelson Backwaters Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS, that final EIS that they've worked through. They did adopt a resolution to allow that document to be published in, again, the EQB, or Environmental Quality Board Monitor, for that required 10-day review period. So that is out there for comment and review, I believe, through tomorrow, end of day. And then on the October 15th agenda, which was a little bit heavier from some projects that we had seen back in September. So High North, that lower potency conditional use permit, the council did approve. There was a variance for a minimum lot size out on Lamar Avenue, if you recall, in order to be able to split off that house. The council did approve that. The East Ravine 2025 AUAR, the council did approve that to be published in the EQB Monitor. And then finally, North Point or the Cottage Grove Logistics Park plat that you saw before you was also approved, and there was some easement vacations incorporated in that as well. But with that, you do have Mr. Councilmember Dave Thiede here with you this evening, if you have any additional questions for him tonight.
Just to add a couple of of different, somewhat significant things, as you might have heard that Cedarhurst and so forth, the Belagala, they were having some issues and possible uncertainty of federal funds and so forth, and so they had sent a notice that they were kind of needed to back out of the deal, but we are working with them on a couple different possibilities to kind of keep them in play, because we pretty much all feel that that was a very good plan for that area, and I think it's one that the people around the neighborhood and so forth also liked and things of that nature. So just to let you know that is kind of continuing, and we're doing some work with the owners and other possibilities, and I know you've been relatively close to that also. And we did get a proposal. Some of you might be interested at the Ferber House, that the new owners out there, they are proceeding with some plans to actually get that house fixed up, which would be nice. They do plan to use it for people that are having weddings or something like that. Kind of almost like a what do they call them? Rental, not BYOB.
Airbnb.
Bring your own bedroom, but oh no, that's something different. But anyway, so that is also good news. Otherwise, I think I don't know. You guys have any other questions on things that might be going on? I was gonna kind of mention through the as we were talking about the CIP and so forth, that and most of you guys are, somewhat veterans with that too. You've been around for a while. That some of that is a wish list. There's some things that definitely need to happen, but there's definitely some that tend to get pushed out, or if somehow we figure out how to get different financing. I remember some of the first times I saw it and I saw all that money and I said, well, where the heck are we going to come up with all that money? Well, it's not all just us. It's some of it's funded by Washington County, some of it's state funding, some of it's other grants and things like that. So I'm usually asking a lot of questions on well, where the heck am I going to come from? And when it's sitting out there in a public record with that much money on it, sometimes people start getting all wild about it. But so I'm pretty certain you guys all understand some of that sort of stuff. But
Questions for Councilmember Thiede? Commissioner Fisher?
Hi. So I've been seeing a lot more like e-bikes and e-scooters and
good point.
small people that should not be riding them, driving them around. I've almost hit children driving I'm just wondering, I actually said to my husband, somebody is gonna die on one of these things because kids take them. They don't know the rules of the road. They just don't know any better. And so I'm wondering if the city of Cottage Grove has any sort of plan or has considered or has started talking about if there's any sort of regulation or rules or something that we can do. I'm just afraid that a kid's gonna get killed. It's almost a daily occurrence, on the social media platforms, that somebody's been hit somewhere, or, I just feel like it's a huge danger in our community right now, and I'm just curious to know how the city can help make some guidelines, because these are new things, right, that we haven't had for very long, and so nobody really knows how to behave themselves with them yet, So how do we provide a framework for people?
And we are going to have some more discussion. That topic has come up, and it's been recognized as a something that we need to address because it is becoming more prevalent. And first thing I'm thinking is that, oh geez, they should be pedaling their bikes.
Well, and I mean,
But anyway.
besides that point, like I was going east on 80th, like out of my neighborhood. I live on the west side of the highway. And like the on-ramp to 61, like they didn't even look, and it's just, somebody's gonna get killed. Like, it's just a matter of time. And it's scary as a mom, to think about, like, we do not have any of that stuff because there's no way to prevent it without some framework, so.
I think that's going to come to like, especially like planning commission and besides the council having, I think aren't we scheduling a workshop on that soon or something like that? Do you recall?
So there are things that are starting to form with that. Okay.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions for Councilmember Thiede? All right, thank you for being here. B was response to Planning Commission inquiries. We had one request last meeting, and I think we resolved that. So I'll consider that resolved. And then C is Planning Commission request for tonight.
I probably should have talked there.
That's all right. No, that's fine. Questions for council members appropriate. Any requests for staff tonight? Seeing none, then we can move to item 10, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Steckman. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Fisher. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. We are adjourned.